quite often on this map, and that usually means that for FunHavers, it's going to be a lot of A attacks.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what Tim can do with this Harbor. The fluidity of his smokes have always been something worth contesting on Icebox, and with Corrupt on this Viper as well, you're going to be able to really put a couple blemishes on that A site, like you said. Throw this conditioning wall up pretty consistently on B, as well as they'll be the ones starting off on the attack half. Again, FunHavers have to win this match in order to stay in the tournament. If they lose, they're out. Winthrop, opposite for them. If they lose, they're still in, but they're in sudden death. If they win, they make it to playoffs. Differing stakes, but same passion and want to win here for both these teams.
Also, I see what you did there by calling Harbor's utility fluidity. It's fluid.
It took me years
to
pick it up.
Water. Crazy stuff. But on the offense, you have the initial toxic screen and the initial high tide splitting up the middle of the map, which causes some attention for Winthrop through tube. Instant trade is there for the opening 1v1s, but in the meantime, you've got FunHavers. Oh gosh, it's going to take me a minute. They're going to get on with the Cove to plant onto A. So a little bit of a little bait and switch there with the utility. And now it's on to Winthrop to try to retake with this toxic screen.
See that tide go up. The screen will come down. FunHavers able to kind of crunch between the walls. Nazi gets that opener, but still trying to find the extremity. Moves, he'll head upstairs and go for the pot shots. Does find Kumi. Drop back down. Moves, dancing around Pyro, but will manage to lose that fight. Now in the 1v2, Nazi having a lot of homework to do, and able to backstab is Pyro and Blast. Nice placement for the spike to net FunHavers that first round.
Yeah, I like the post plant setup there for FunHavers as well. Just kind of, you know, again, it's just this little fake out where you've got the initial Viper's wall and the initial high tide to kind of block out space over through mid tube, forces all of Winthrop that were on A to kind of come back over and watch the middle of the map, even throw some spam shots over. And while all that's happening and this isolation under Corrupt starts to come through, you can see it's just a wide open A site. So it's not the typical breakdown. Still works out nicely. And then, yeah, the post plant, you just get a couple of members tucked into corners. You've got one member deep to watch over the backside of that defuse. And it's really, really well put together for FunHavers. Same wall up for the offensive Viper. Different look here as Moobs tried to find timing on an angle towards the orb. Not going to be allowed to. And, well, now you look to your all attention onto Ali, who is looking for something through the great good headshot there. But another defender head drops. So we have a 4v3.
I have the spike.
Now it'll be Pyro stepping up to the plate. Grabbing that gun. FunHavers try to spread their wings here. Blast has been found. No gun out, so Nazi gets a freebie. And FunHavers now will definitely be forced to give Kumi some support outstretched on yellow here with the Guardian. Nazi now going to be the one who might have timing not on his side. No! That's another one.
Stuff for Nazi. But just over challenge is a little bit too much. Again, just trying to maybe get information on where this offense is. So we get to the 2v2. Sheriff's out for the defense. Stinger, Outlaw for the offense. Toxic screen goes down. Plant is there. Whoa, nice shots from Infiltrator. Pyro tried to contest, but it's just too many shots, too many Sheriffs looking to Matt. And how about the response here in the anti-eco for Winthrop?
Love seeing the initiative taken from all members of Winthrop there, really. Nazi, Ali, really taking those extra couple steps forward, catching these members of FunHaver off guard just in time to slight that advantage back. So Winthrop now gonna reallocate that spacing, not have to place too much on mid for the time being. You'll be able to double down a little more on these swings in the pre-plant as well. Infiltrator already getting greedy.
Yep, why not? It's kind of the Winthrop staple, I will say that much. Like,
yeah,
they love to just get those opening peaks, especially if you've got a scope in the hand of Infiltrator. He's been a potent opening first blood duelist, I should say. As the attack limping their way over through green to the direction of Moobs, who has a Vandal and now a little bit of assistance as Infiltrator is going to rotate over to join him.
Poison's off.
You'll have a good cross for this as soon as Infiltrator gets in front of the screen, which he now is. Moves a bit ISO'd, but that's purely for the intel. Yeah, he'll just be able to duck back behind. Nice spray down from Blast, though. And so now The rest of the cavalry has to come calling. Luckily, Winthrop's here to answer it.
Yeah, I like that little double shoulder peek high-low from Funhavers. Just really putting the pressure on any defenders that are watching that opening cross. Hunter's Fury earned early, though, as Nasi has been teeing off. Stops the plant, but Pyro still finds another elimination. Make it 2. And that really just leaves Infiltrator to try to do the work at the moment. Nasi still has an Aldrin to kind of scout this out, but moment of pause here for Funhavers as they had Corrupt Flame to the middle of the map, and then Nasi had to worry about too much. So back and forth we go here. Pistol for Funhavers, Anti-Eagle for Winthrop, Thrifty for Funhavers, 2-1.
Way to whittle away there for Funhavers on that B site, just throwing up wall after wall and forcing Winthrop University to kind of have their board split time and again. The consistent micro-positional changes that they had to make as they tried to approach that fight. Funhavers got to just push it pretty vanilla and win out those fights off of the scatter. So with the gun advantage now explicitly going their way, they have every reason to get a little more aggressive on whatever stack Winthrop has to offer here, especially with that ult in tow. It's all about finding the momentum here on the attack if you're Funhavers.
Aldrone denied early. Infiltrator will be tagged up by the dart. Not too much information, though, all things told, for Funhavers. Infiltrator still holding an angle up top. Just waiting for a chance to peek from rope to rope. There's the opportunity, but no, that Sheriff shot does not deter Funhavers from still holding the angles. Pyro Kumi, first 2 shots are good. Nasi left on site. Rotating in early is Flare, but just has a frenzy, so yeah, you really have to hope that Moves can rotate over and assist on this, but now that he's been seen, you don't know if they're tracking back. It's just too much doubt right now for Winthrop's defense.
Yeah, no telling what they could do until they commit to it, and by that point, there's not much in front of it. So Funhavers will go ahead and barrel it down that A site after all, forcing Moves to fly on back into a 1v4. Once again, great steps taken, great measures by Funhavers the whole way through, able to cut apart these fights and then sculpt out the site after they've been able to parse out those individuals. Really, no question so far on this attack. Already, Tim's harbor shift proving to be quite influential in how you can approach this. You just have so many more ways you can kind of double back and fake out and go for these trade swings. A lot of options to be able to gain back advantage for Funhavers at the moment.
Good stuff, man. I really like what I'm seeing in terms of just like how the pieces are moving on the board right now for Funhavers. I mean, yeah, you got the, you know, what happened in round 2 is more of a credit to Winthrop playing from the anti-eco with a couple of purchases with Sheriffs, but outside of that, I'm really liking what's being designed by Funhavers early. We're gonna get our first look at a real round here, though, with both teams being able to fully afford into the following round. But if you're Funhavers, I think there's this level of like you've shown some pressure towards B early, including what is going to be a fake cascade wall that will be noticed by Moves. It does move Infiltrator out of A. So again, you know, you're just showing like these little bits of utility, and it provides opportunities for Funhavers to get small advantages over the top of the A site.
Yeah. Winthrop University has every reason to step back when they have these things coming their way, but it doesn't make it any less powerful on Funhavers' side. And yeah, they're completely zoned out thanks to that harbor ult. They'll step on basically free. Cove is the free plant as well. Winthrop, they can't spray it down, and they're just going to fight on top of it. Infiltrator, first drop down. He's good for 2 off of that. That's instantaneous. Off the dash back, though, as his position's found, and the rest of Winthrop's got to pick up the pieces. They certainly can, though, 4v1 when all is said and done. And this time, you don't have all those follow-ups for Funhavers. You don't have all those extra screens and shrouds. You used them all on the push, and Winthrop, they played just enough keep away and slow down with those sprays from heaven to be able to take the fight early. Funhavers were not ready for it. A high, low, lower, lowest to get them their second round.
A little high, mid, low, that type of deal. High, low, lower than that. No, I mean, that's honestly, in terms of like how clean the opening was for Funhavers, I mean, again, the reckoning just kind of demands respect. But surprised to see that there wasn't really much in terms of them actually kind of locking down the top kind of banister over towards the backside of the A site. It just felt a little bit too free for Winthrop to walk forward. I mean, Infiltrator gets 2 from the backside of their ropes building, so it just feels a little bit too easy right there. And of course, you have to give credit to the fact that Winthrop just win a couple of really good 1v1s on the re-entry, but
yeah.
The layering maybe not as convincing as you would have liked. Infiltrator going to save the purchase in favor of the knives in round 6. Everyone else in full purchase. Ollie also has the Empress if he so chooses to pop it.
Yeah, we've neglected to talk about Ollie playing on this Reyna very much, but it's definitely a point of contention for this Winthrop composition on Icebox. Haven't really gotten to see him flex too hard just yet. Of course, playing on the defense, he's going to be playing exclusively for the retakes if he wants to be explosive. Apart from that, he's just getting his. Corrupt, though, opening frag up the creep from mid, and Winthrop, they'll have to reallocate, but that's just about as the B push is starting up.
Infiltrator going to try to do it all himself.
Be faster.
And why not? Dashes away, keeps Yellow in the control of the defense. Second opportunity, just a bit missed. Still has a weapon to play off of, but no. Tim's able to shut that down. Ollie, though, off of the Empress! Oh, in the leer just to get him into the site. That's good for 2. Viper's Pit going to be called into the action, but the plant is anything but comfortable still. Off this position, second toggle, second spray down, nothing there, and Kumi may have changed the tides here. Ollie's Empress still in play for now.
Planted.
Is going to try to re-wrap onto this. We'll have the opportunity to dismiss and keep the overheal alive. 1v1 with Corrupt. Back into the mix once again. Decay punishing, though, and Corrupt, who stepped out, will find the kill and get the 4th for FunHavers.
A pity that FunHavers understood the kind of targeting that Ollie was trying to find by the end of that round. Corrupt staying alive, keeping that Viper's Pit intact the whole way through the back half of that fight. But what a fight that was put up first from Infiltrator on that opening knife, but Ali, enough time wasted for him to come through and decide to pop that ulti, almost saving Winthrop this time around, but at least they still have that eco to carry this through and try to keep this defense competitive.
Opening battle. Wow, these guys just want to fight, don't they? Trades will favor FunHavers. The aggression from Winthrop largely stifled. Infiltrator takes care of the Sentry Dome, but Operator will be known at mid-map. Ollie, timing here could be everything. How strong is the Spidey sense? Pretty strong. Doesn't make it. First shot misses. Ollie takes us into a 3v3.
Now, once again, it's all about the ISO members. FunHavers trying to split this apart, and Moobs is alone here on Yellow. Cataclysm. Moobs avoids it, steps outside of Yellow, grabs his, and now your duelists for Winthrop are here to fight as soon as everything goes down.
Spike planted.
How do you break down this post plant with 2 duelists? Blast worried about the flank. Infiltrator will toggle. Aldrum will reveal. Hunter's Fury out. You can kill a lot of time with this with your Pyro. One more toggle. Infiltrator seed dealt with by Blast. That's big. And now they know that Ollie's playing from the front as well. Ollie's going to have to try to stick this. Yeah, shoulders are just not going to be enough. You got to chow this outright. Sentry Zone is down, and FunHavers will just move backwards, say, yeah, we know what you're doing there, brother. And Ollie will have to just bail and see FunHavers get to 5.
At least able to get rid of that Hunter's Fury, but no more there as FunHavers honestly get some great telegraphs early on of what Winthrop's plans are. A trade war in mid that tried to get cemented by Infiltrator that could have turned into a 3v3, but that turret finding him out early, and then the harbor wall getting placed in front of him. And so instead, you've got to push from the other extremities, and it's Ollie to give them a shot there, but that separates the remainder of Winthrop even more. Forces that individuality to really shine through. One of the toughest parts of a defense that is as thin spread as Iceboxes, but now with minimal eco save for Infiltrator on this Operator, we'll see what FunHavers go for tempo-wise on this attacking round.
Patience seems to be the call. Solo operator just out for Infiltrator. Sheriff's the rest of the way except for one classic for Ali. So again, major advantage here for Funhavers, but not wanting to risk any first bloods. Awful drum waiting through.
They're waiting for Ali.
Yep, that will get you the information and where the operator is. And I'll be curious to see if Funhavers just decide to back away. Instead, it's an angle that Kumi's trying to hold on to. Not going to work out. Infiltrator for the first blood. And you're going to bait a lockdown with a high tide while you re-wrap back over to B with Corrupt pushing in towards mid-tube. But there is a sentry turret here to stop the play through kitchen. Ali, classic shot's not going to land. Sheriff shot's also a miss from Flare, and Pyro will get the plant.
A miracle that Corrupt gets out of there, but it's crucial to stall Winthrop just a tad bit longer to let Funhavers spread and set up here on the B post plant, which now they have, and Corrupt's going to redeem himself with that swing into tube, grab moves, and force Winthrop to yet again question this retake, especially if Pyro can grab one from under it as well.
Shot down.
Oh, man.
Infiltrator still connecting, though. Maybe still a chance, but no. Tim, nice little mini pinch around the back, leaves Nasi by himself. Catches one, but nothing more. So a couple of purchases through. Definitely felt more punishing than maybe you would have figured based on the weaponry purchase at the beginning of the round. Especially considering that you do actually get the lockdown out of play there. So not the worst news for Winthrop, but this half is starting to get a little out of hand, and you need a round here.
Yeah, Winthrop have got to find a way to hold on to this more consistently than just using those ultis. And, I mean, ultimately, it probably comes down to just committing a little heavier to the retake, which they started to do these past couple rounds, but even then, these creeps in mid have made
Get out of my way.
the exec so much stronger. It's all simultaneous as well. Funhaver's timing has been excellent thus far. Kumi opting for the shotgun this time since he's got those knives, and he is gonna use them. Catches moves early on, but no kills just yet. Funhavers, though, easy portal under the tube, and they go.
Shuri out. Infiltrator, oh my goodness. He is so slippery. Still alive and kicking. Kumi eventually able to find a couple of kills to make this a little bit more interesting for the offense, but the last one left on the cloud burst. And an Infiltrator is going to find 4. And that's just what, you know, if you talk about this Winthrop team, you talk about the fact that these guys are a collegiate squad, but that is not a collegiate play from Infiltrator.
Blink and you miss him. And that's the kind of duelist Infiltrator has been this year. Winthrop dragged their way to a podium spot in the previous stage. They're once again trying to inch their way to playoffs here. And with Funhavers, on paper, it's an easy in. But here, obviously, Infiltrator not allowed to get as gross as he's been thus far. There have been a good couple stoppers and counter swings that Funhavers have managed to take. This time, wide open space that he ducks into. It's all to sell Ali, though, who will grab 2. And that's
Unreal.
what that second duelist is there for.
Deploying drone.
Unreal.
Enemy mark.
Owl drone for Nasi, going to scout out that there's still some offensive presence here. Does not see Kumi, though. Will tactfully retreat just for now. Kumi trying to scale forward. That is a very critical pick. And now Kumi, yeah, aware that Nasi's still playing close to the back door. Will find a second. He moves now by himself. Now, does have a Viper's Pit to play with. No snake bites or anything in the post plan in terms of utility for Corrupt to deny a potential toggle. And yep, Moves is going to queue it up. Hop on for it for a moment. Step away. Catch a little bit of spam. Finding the first. Snake bite down. Going to try to hold this a little bit longer. Misses the shots initially, but eventually tracks it down and Moves secures a 1v2 Red Bull clutch.
It's enough to make it work. At the end of the day,
Only thought that was close.
took so much that time. That first insert up a main, brave as can be, working out for Winthrop a majority of the time, but the tempo with which Funhavers still got to approach this site was pretty terrifying. And Kumi, with this double kill, miracle on the rafters, forcing Moves to use that Viper's Pit to guarantee this round. And a timeout called for Funhavers, but I mean, at the end of the day, the game plan doesn't veer too much off course if you're this attacking squad at the moment, because you still have a lot of counter ults you'll still have to kind of just fight through. Regardless, you know you're going to have to reset space-wise, and and give a lot of responsibility to these individuals again. So what they're probably discussing in this timeout is just how to handle the discipline of facing off against these duelists that have just been in your face at every waking moment.
One enemy remains. You should run.
Pretty crazy.
That's a nutty peek.
Yeah, it really is. I don't know, man.
I'm seeing great work from Winthrop University on this defense so far. I think they're doing a great job of playing damage control. The issue is, the timing that they're deciding to take every time is just not worth it. I'm seeing so many moments where someone like Nazi or Flair is forced to step out on like the first leg of a side exec when you should be doubling back at least once, maybe slowing down, forcing a clear. With this operator on Infiltrator, though,
yeah.
He can go to T-spawn if he wants. I wouldn't care.
Exactly. I was about to say, like, that's just the power of Infiltrator right now. I think knowing that he's got the security blanket of another strong duelist behind him is that he can make these rogue plays and just go for free because the map is just a giant choke point. You've got suffocation in the middle of the map with an alarm bot sentry turret to watch through tube, and on that cross, Reckoning will be out, though. Hold the pause, though. Moob's in trouble. Still alive, surviving through the pre-fire. Still dancing a little bit. And as the poison cloud will fall, the lockdown may give Moobs a chance, but not quite. Nanoswarm doing some chip damage. Infiltrator was going to hit again. And he's just the difference maker, my man. Pyro's able to respond with one more, so we'll go to a 3v3 situation, making a 3v2 with Ollie's kill into Pyro. And the defense is holding for now, looking solid.
Yeah, the walls are going to deflate soon. Funhaver has to keep cycling them, but there's one peak you're missing out on, and now your other duelist is there. Ollie, another one, and he'll creep up once again to close quarters to finalize. Ollie and Infiltrator taking the reins of this game now for Winthrop University's sake.
Yep.
To try to hold on to this defensive half before we swap sides. And so far, it's working.
Yep. 27 of the 40 total eliminations, if my math is correct, have gone the way of Infiltrator and Ollie. That's just, I'm telling you, like, the way Winthrop plays is just, it's so smooth, but it's so unorthodox. Like, we don't see Reyna played ever, it feels like, anymore. But this is a staple of Winthrop on this map. They played it years prior. And it's just the ability for them to have the individual confidence to say, we're just going to duel you. You better shoot better than we did on the day. And at the moment, Hunter's Fury will only move the defense around a little bit, but Infiltrator is still feeling feisty, and why not?
Yeah, the philosophy of I shoot better than you has really been pervasive in North America this year, hasn't it? But
yeah.
you just keep coming up on these new prodigies that just have something about them. Ollie, 2 kills, and you open up the sightline for Nazi to grab the third. It's curtains this round already.
It's crazy scenes, the way they just get away with this. And again, like, you've got Funhavers who are playing a composition that, in theory, should deter these duelists from finding so much aggressive value, but they just can't execute because Infiltrator's hitting a first shot or Ali's coming away with a 1v2. It's silly stuff, my friends. It's silly stuff. And Winthrop is on the precipice of tying up this half after a very convincing start. And that's just too easy. Pyro is just hanging up on the ledges. He doesn't have any idea that Nazi's right below him. And Winthrop will find a way to bounce back in a big way in the second quarter of this map. Ties at 6.
Switching sides.
A little more patience and a little better team fighting going such a long way for Winthrop at the end of the day. Funhavers had such a great way to clear the board consistently with this Viper Harbor core on the controllers. But after all that is said and done, and the Winthrop University members are remaining alive instead of going into these mid-chokes and losing these wars, it's a full-blown 5v5 on site. And now that all of your controller util is gone, it's a lot harder to play catch-up. So yeah. Funhavers, they had to force themselves to play for distance. They had to force, Pyro and Corrupt to get a little aggressive with their util as well in order to get that spike down safely as long as Winthrop University members remained alive. A lot more discipline going into the back half of this map. We'll see if it carries through on the attack for these favorites or if Funhavers have more life in them here on Icebox.
See how critical the pistols are going to be in this matchup. Recon dart. reveal most of the front part of B. But honestly, Blast is playing off-site here. Just going to use the Nanostorm to deny the default plant position and then let the defense rotate behind that. But with Corrupt, I was going to say, starting to walk down mid, maybe there's a chance for them to try to play through it. But nope, instead the Nanostorm is deleted. And Winthrop will wait for contact, but none is coming. So now they're going to get the spike over to try to plant.
On a good deal of fielding over. Flare, unfortunately, a lot of empty waiting for somebody to creep all the way up to A spawn, but not happening. So we'll have a full-blown 5v5 on our hands for this retake here for Funhavers as they'll already extend. And open sight lines means open season for Funhavers here.
Yep. Tide is out, moves, trying to play off the pinch. I believe he may have been seen. Nasi connects with the shock dart, though. Secondary hold on top of the cove, starting to come through, but Nasi finds Corrupt. Blast will get it to halfway. Billy with the follow-up. Flare has to challenge, and in that moment, he will fall, and the pistol will go to Funhavers.
Just so much to dump into that execution. The Harbor util just completely drowning that attack. And yeah, it took me a century to come up with that one, too. But
I don't believe you.
At the end of the day, I think that was, again, just very well played by both sides up until that spike got down. Funhavers have so much to throw at the problem. Moves. I love the attempt at the wraparound, but unfortunately it didn't find anything. So it just, again, it comes down to burning through that cove, and it takes such a sacrifice to even get that far. From there, Funhavers have enough to carry that into a round win. Already really buying up heavy. All heavy shields, but Winthrop all stingers. This will be juicy.
Good reveal, though, off the opening defensive utility check. Oh, and the right click four-round burst for Kumi will land. And, yeah, they're also going to see Ollie, and they're going to know that this is a Stinger's hit. So all guns are up and forward. Leader comes through. Doesn't really deter too much. Winthrop able to trade a little bit. A little bit? Nasi, okay, hold on a second. 1v3 situation. It's Stinger versus Spectre. Definitely doable. Nasi pushing up. Timing is going to be everything on this check. But Corrupt, knowing the spike has not been planted, is going to wait a little longer.
Yeah, 55 whole seconds with this if you're Nasi. So really taking the litter with where you could end up going. Toxic screen, though, goes up. And the recon bolts out. So Corrupt now has to be the one to make the call.
Spike planted.
Corrupt on the check. Nasi playing with elevation. Oh, what a check from Corrupt off the ropes. First burst, good for Nasi. Follow-up is better, and it's a 1v3 for Nasi. How about that for Winthrop off a Stinger buy that was revealed and largely dealt with? Nasi says not so fast.
Yeah, incredibly telegraphed before the push even really commenced. Funhavers trying to play the distance game, go for that long range, and for the most part it works out, but Nasi slips in through the cracks enough to grab that last two, as the elevation is also acquired by Winthrop. That is some gorgeous spray control there. And able to maintain the 1v1 against Corrupt after they themselves do some beautiful dancing around the pedestals. That is a crazy run back for Winthrop University that's already turned the momentum upside down here. Now it's Winthrop that gets to be patient again, as Corrupt is going to be the one to have to step up, and it won't work as well for them this time around. Nothing will.
No. Too clean here for Winthrop. Not going to take any hesitations with their advantage. And they know that Blast is in the corner. Yep, a couple of tags to the Guardian will work out, and it's Winthrop up one after what has been a map that has largely been decided, or at least somewhat finagled off the first 3 rounds of each half.
Yeah, we haven't really been able to spin back eco-wise on either side all the way up. Both teams have just been so scrappy and far from flawless on the way down. This was one of the cleanest rounds we've gotten to see yet, and Funhavers just really having to throw everything at it. Built up this early as Winthrop University. We'll see what they can get away with this round, as again, patience can be on their side, at least for these first 30, as Funhavers every reason to start throwing out this prelim util to try to stop these pushes that these guys are going for. Moves just gets one. What?
Yeah, that's just one of those that is going to feel miserable if you're Pyro. You just cannot fall in that position. Blast has read that Ollie is somewhere underneath too, but yeah, you have to respect that there could be a push through. So Blast is out of the picture a little bit here. Moobs has rejoined the offensive effort back towards the spawn, and that offensive effort is making a move over towards B, and Moobs may get a chance at Blast here.
Yeah, might not peek it, not fully, but Moob's not as ready for it. Blast, good turn. So it'll be a full-blown 4v4 here on the B site. Unoccupied, but also unchecked, so Winthrop are a little slow to it. They'll extend, but Funhavers have the sight line and the kills. Now the re-up attempt from Nasi can't find anything just yet. It'll have to be a 2v4 post plant, but you got two of the best agents to do it here if you're Winthrop.
Yeah, and I was about to say, if you're Funhavers, though, that is just a really good understanding that you know that Winthrop is going to want to try to scale through and avoid that harbor utility. Blast follows up, leaving Flare by themselves up top. Blast is already on for the defuse. Yep, and the shoulder check just not going to deny. Yeah, that's really good for Funhavers. I understand what you're doing for Winthrop. You just don't want to get separated by Tim's utility. But the timing of the play was not ideal, obviously, as they just get caught trying to scale deep into Snowman.
Absolutely. Trying to get ahead of the curve when the curve wasn't even on the way. A great call by Funhavers to just be ready for that fight as Winthrop goes for the extension. And able to maintain and equalize the whole way through despite that open sight. Winthrop, again, very telegraphed that they still have to do all of this checking before they get onto his site, regardless of how many heads they see. If it's not 5, they are playing a little slow before they jump on.
Full purchase still available for both teams. 8-8 is the current tally. Hunter's Fury at the ready for Nasi. He's been known to throw that thing out as soon as he gets a tag with an Aldrone, which this time it will not tag. He's also the spike carrier, so keep that in mind. He will likely not be in a position to immediately back up and use it for post plant. Infiltrator initially did the check, but didn't clear the full corner. Ollie gets one in response, but it still numbers the Funhavers in the 4v3. Nasi finds one though to Corrupt. That ties up the numbers. Defensive Aldrone, scouts, tags, opportunity for Kumi, and how about that? And a heck of a display. Finding the final 3 and 4 in total. Funhavers take a critical round here late in map 1.
Does it all himself off of a singular ping that throws Winthrop into disarray. A gorgeous way to recover a round that was still not completely their way after Winthrop continued to take this high ground very quickly on the A site in order to equalize the kill feed. Kumi, though, again, there's always a part that's unchecked. The extension and just the raw aggression from Kumi to decide to finish that himself. That is a gorgeous set of kills to get Funhavers back ahead of things. Force Winthrop up their tempo just a little bit this round with their half buy they've got here.
Still some potency, though, with these rifles, especially with Infiltrator still wielding a Vandal. Ollie, good leer. Corrupt is completely hindered by that, but still comes away with a pinstripe. Pyro over the top. Tough battle, and Nasi just again breaks the timing. And how about this? Lockdown out for Blast. Nano Swarm coming through. The spike gets planted. Blast going to reposition. Can he get this to halfway before Winthrop can check? Oh, and he goes for the toggle. Nasi's going to call the Hunter's Fury immediately. Did not spend it to deny the lockdown. Blast dancing with it. Not able to find anybody, though, so now has to go backwards. And this is where it becomes a little bit more difficult because you got a recon dart there. That will reveal. Blast will get it to halfway, but re-peeking this is pretty much an impossibility. High-low set up from the hells of all hell. And it's a 9-9 count for Winthrop.
Such speed that they took this site with this time around. And even so, it led to it being a little bit sloppy. Corrupt. They got to sit up there for the second time in a row and get something free. But this time, unable to branch back out is Funhavers. And Winthrop get enough time and space to reset. Tie us back up at 9 here. We're finally getting to that fully kitted territory again for both sides at this stage. 2 Blade Storms in the balance as well here. It's about to be a DBZ fight.
Yeah. Or maybe not. Currently on opposite sides, and You've got the Owl drone for Pyro through tube. Allows an opportunity for Moobs and Blast to square off. Moobs comes away the temporary victor with a little bit more damage tallied. Alarm bot in the way at this offensive peak over towards B. That gets deleted. Spike is still down, but the alarm bot off. Funhavers are going to be a little bit more worried about what's happening. Really on both sides as this delayed high tide comes through. It's going to get Kumi up top. Doesn't have an angle though.
I appreciate this from Funhavers though, because you had to have Corrupt go over to support Blast after taking that chunk of the health pool. They know Winthrop might lean over towards the A site, so they throw up that tide early. And now Kumi is planted in on this extension. Infiltrator spots him, but Kumi has the better knives.
Oh, but shut down by Flare. So now the spike should be able to go down.
Yeah, they should have enough time. They're going to come from heaven up here. Harbor ult's up. They're going to fight this off rip.
Yeah, sure are. Ollie trying to hang. Only finds one. Pyro follows up. Spike gets planted by Moose, but he's absolutely stunned up. This great timing from Tim on the Reckoning. High tide to allow entry. The Reckoning forcing all of Winthrop to essentially pick a corner. And with the clock ticking away against the timing of the plant, a key round gets responded to as Funhavers retake the lead.
Just continuing to have enough to respond here. And again, not much intel to go off of, but Funhavers, they were a bit on the chopping block there after Blast got pressured out. Could have gone for that B pinch, so they had to spread themselves out a little thin again. Thank goodness Kumi going absolutely insane on this Blade Storm to give those extra couple seconds over to Funhavers to get back to that A site, respond with that Cataclysm right as they're going for the plant. Perfect timing, like you said.
Little feel out here for Tim over towards green. Nothing that some pre-fire can't really deter. And everything's staying pretty cautious right now for Winthrop, and they are pulling out some pretty critical utility. That's a cascade wall down, and they're going to claim yellow, so like in a pretty key position here for Winthrop if they want to try to set this up for their double duelist hit.
It's all about how they can snake off this opening pick, and they'll enable Infiltrator first up. He's got to choke himself in, and Funhavers, they can go for the pinch early on. Infiltrator's got to get himself out, and he somehow does! Off the snake bite too, and Pyro now has to chase nothing. Ghosts with the Hunter's Fury. It's Winthrop that can go for the pinch now, and Moobs is good on to Corrupt as well, and Kumi!
Spike planted.
This Winthrop team is
silly.
Dude, I was gonna say this Winthrop team is just silly. Like legitimately. It's just Infiltrator just does things that are so disrespectful for the tier 2 space. So I remember like when we watched this team initially when they first qualified for Challengers last year, I was like, all right, you know, show me something, C-Val. And the first look was like, damn, like these guys just gun. Like they're gunning teams out of their shoes. And now you're like dealing with year 2. The squad's starting to build up some really solid protocol and some really solid chemistry towards their mid-rounding. But it's still individual moments like that. It's just, you know, it has that unteachable quality to it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's not just what you can make your team. It is still who is on it. And Winthrop, they have fostered quite the roster over those 2 years of activity here in the Challenger scene and C-Val as well. They're just coming off of the championship silver medal after they lost to Maryville. And so, as always, these scenes continuously muddled, continuously rock, paper, scissors like. Funhavers being this close in the matchup should not be a surprise to anybody.
Yeah.
As they continue to come with these amazing heroic responses as well. Kumi getting enabled just as much as everyone I think would want him to be on this map so far. Just letting, placing so much trust in him to choke, to like hug these walls up until the bitter end and then just go ballistic. On the other side, this double duelist from Winthrop University keeping things as exciting as always. Banking off of each other instead of other util as well. Infiltrator moving in off of Ollie's Lear to get that 2K, to get inserted long enough. I mean, it's just such explosive talent from both of these rosters that you'd love to see grow. This is the right space to do it, but Funhavers on the verge of this being their last map of the stage. Who can tell what could change for a tier 2 team like this in just the months between splits?
And we're playing for a corrupt early Vipers pin around A by the look of it. He's got a stinger in hand. So if they get a read here, he's going to pop this thing to try to set up the defense around A. Aldrin out for the offense. Defensive harbor utility, littering the zone, but Tim will drop it. This Vipers may be down a little bit too late, honestly. Infiltrator reads the response, and yeah, Ollie's able to step right in. That's just too late from Funhavers. Critical error. Try to get a read before they committed to the ultimate. Winthrop have already taken the site. Plus, they've got the lockdown to push out any contests from the spike being planted. And honestly, your Funhavers, well, I was gonna say you might want to consider saving, but instead Blast finds 2 with the Guardian. Kumi hits, and it's down to Flare and Nasi. Double cloud burst for Kumi. Pops out of it. How about that for a reaction? And the shots from Nasi don't land. It all goes completely awry based on the plan that Funhavers had. But as their name would suggest, there's still fun to be had in the 3v5.
A completely decided sight after Winthrop University rip off the Band-Aid and the Viper's Pit with it. And yet Blast with that first entry, and Kumi doubling down on this operator. Such activity on the retake for the Funhavers, showing how willing they are to go for it at any given notice. And again, the timing for both sides, those windows could not have been more perfect on either end. It's Funhavers who come up profiting though, and Winthrop who have to turn back to this half buy that they're now going for. Again, blistering speed they'll try and approach this A site with. Pyro's early. Wall
out. Corrupt still holding from the high ground. Denies the Aldrin that doesn't, tags actually onto the player down low. I believe it's Tim. Winthrop still looking to try to keep the aggression in. Moves for first blood. Infiltrator up top. Spams it down. No problem there. Trying to fight his Tim, but Infiltrator connects onto a second before eventually dropping Blast for 2 before also finding the same fate. And Kumi is not interested in challenging this with the operator. We're going to go 11-11.
If it's Infiltrator running it down, he's going to win. If it's Blast holding a position, he is going to win. Unstoppable force and immovable object across these 2 rounds here, but it's Winthrop that have enough personnel to keep up and contain. Finally shut that down on top of another insane spree here by Infiltrator on the attack, continuing to make Icebox A his playground. So back up to the tie game here at 11-11. Both teams' economies should be recovered and also on the verge of quite a few ultimates here. Of course, with that lockdown previously expended from Winthrop, it'll be down to Moobs and that Viper's Pit, so Funhavers have every reason to engage a little bit earlier here, try to turn this to a 4v5 before Spike goes down. I'm wondering how much mid-peeking we'll see from them earlier on here, because they've just had to be so well prepped for this heavy A-take, and it just hasn't come up. Are they willing to play for that retake again like they did so damn well earlier on this game?
We'll see. Weapons still purchasable. We do have a Marshall in play, though, for Corrupt. Again, not much between either of these 2 teams in any form. Kumi, aggression. Aldrone pushes him back. Oh, and this angle is unexcusable. Nasi just up the rope. Catches one as Funhavers were trying to force things up early. High tide to follow, though, kind of draws the line of the sand here. You shall not pass until Nasi works his way forward. Kumi now inside the cloud burst with a shorty. No moves at the response. Down to Blast. Has been good in this position before. Can lightning strike twice? Lockdown out. Nano swarm to zone. Flare trying to catch an angle, but Blast with the 1v2 Red Bull clutch, and Funhavers will get the map point.
Match point.
It's Kumi and it's Blast, forcing A-Site to a 100-meter dash for Winthrop University. You've got to get to this jet on the operator. He cannot be stopped until you're 2 feet in front of him. And it takes 3 bodies to get that far. And then you're up against Blast on maps. And Lord has he been undeniable from this position. Continues to be when getting a pile drive on top of the lockdown. And now 1 round away from taking Icebox in regulation here as the underdog. Funhavers, they might just have enough firepower to make it work.
Knives are out for Infiltrator. First blood for Ali. It's just an absolute war zone inside of A. Pyro trying to step up. Reckoning may allow an opportunity to try to peek this, but the Nanostorm zones them backwards. And will stay 5v4.
Extra Lear expended to clear out mid, and Winthrop again have to go piece by piece here while Funhavers can stay stagnant. And an Owl Drone will confirm that nobody's sitting in the doldrums of the lobby. Winthrop have backed out a little more than that, though. And hearing that Owl Drone, they'll wait it out and now try to press a little further on top of it. Funhavers, they'll have that read down, set the wall up to force Winthrop to go for the heavy clear again. And Ollie already given himself away. Corrupt will no doubt make the call.
And the Empress out is something you don't want to really be trifling with. Recon bolt denied. But Ali, Infiltrator respond to Corrupt's secondary first blood. Infiltrator now up close and personal with an eye. Not going to miss from that range. Moves will get the plant and Blast once again. Will be trying to re-enter into A, but this is a little bit different than what we've seen before. A couple of different 1v2s for him, but this would have to be a 1v4 for the win into a Viper's pit with knives lurking over the top. It's just a laundry list of things that have to be done.
Yeah, with one hand tied behind your back, with your eyes closed.
For real. First blood is good, though. Finds Ali, but nothing more. The right click for Infiltrator will send us to extras.
Well met for Winthrop University here, shutting down Kumi early.
Overtime.
And then that extra peek up top also nets that extra kill. Much easier time getting on the attack. But it remains to be seen that Winthrop's attack remains consistent, because A is kind of your only option at this point. B is proven to be the stomping ground for this Viper Harbor double up. So that final destination is still a certainty when we swap sides again after this OT round. We'll see if Winthrop gets themselves to that game point here, or if Funhavers once again have their foot on the floor a little heavier.
What are we going to get here? Funhavers have shown that they are more than willing to go to either of these two sites. It has not been the typical high tide cascade run into A. And they're going to play around with the timing here just a little bit as well. You just got Kumi watching to see to make sure no defenders try to play aggressive up towards yellow.
Deploying drone.
Pyro going to scout it out with an Owl Drone. It's a very passive one, though, just to clear these corners. Defense will get a little bit more aggressive with their Owl Drone. We'll see nothing over towards A, but they will catch Blast. That doesn't really tell you too much, though. Blast is often the one lurking, so no information gained really from either side.
Yeah, Funhavers going to be forced to make that choice, and Winthrop going to be forced to change their lean. A little heavier on A here. And with Flare having to set up closer to the kitchen, Moobs will once again have to be that bell ringer as soon as they hear that
Really
sound.
good.
Snakebite first denial. This is really well done by him so
30
far. I mean,
seconds
rest of
left.
Winthrop's going to get here, but Kumi's already extended, so it's still pretty scary.
Yeah, but the Poison Cloud's still in position here to try to stop this plant again. No Snakebite, but again, the orb keeps going up, so Tim is down low on HP, but that's a big first win. Flare, wow. Triggers out a Nanoswarm, stops the plant from Tim.
10 seconds.
Kumi stuck in the bottom of the corner. Flare watching the cross. Nice opening shots. Ali also able to connect. Just down to what this 2v4 could muster, and it might not be much. Lockdown is earned for Flare. And Blast will have to try to fight off a couple of contestants. Not going to happen. Infiltrator with the glass cannon will get the opening shot, or the final shot, I should say. And Winthrop will take the opening edge here in overtime.
I mean, that was absolutely perfect from Winthrop University. After Funhavers sensed the certainty of taking that B site with all of the util that they had, Winthrop, they decided not to touch it with a 10-foot pole. They just decided to touch it with a couple pieces of poison. Moobs able to just launch the entire kitchen sink at that spike plant. No reason not to. Rest of the team's on the way to make up for it after the fact, and they do. win out that fight after everything fades away. Funhavers have nothing to offer after that spike goes down, especially since there are basically only 2 people standing by the time that happened. As a handy win from Winthrop here on the defense, we'll see if they can keep that momentum here on the attack. That is no doubt the A-side. Funhavers have no uncertainty there. They are stacked for this.
Yes, they are. Well, Tim's going to go for orb.
Ballsy.
I'll say. Lear is out for Winthrop, trying to go a little bit quickly. They're trying to see if they can catch Tim off before he can get set up, but not going to happen. Aldrin will see a lot, though. What a shot from Kumi. Ollie able to get at least some information, though, where this defense is set up. Infiltrator makes good on that, but doesn't see Kumi. And so this offensive attempt for Winthrop gets stifled and pushed back, and there's a 4v3.
Winthrop tried to choke up there, but nobody spotted. Moob still inserted, though, and that'll get rid of Kumi, splitting the board both ways. It'll be a coin toss of where Winthrop end up here on the macro. Corrupt, though, creeping up the tube. They've been excellent here so far, but they can't win that fight out against Flare, leaving another channel open, but Moob's now falling on that extra insert into the A site. Funhavers still having denial across the board. A 2v2 that couldn't be more spread thin. Flare now catching Pyro. That's going to be a 2v1 for Winthrop.
Stop it.
He's all the way in.
You just can't believe it. You just can't believe it.
30 seconds left.
Can Blast provide some magic again for Funhavers? Plant for Nasi's going to come through. You have to check every single
Spike
corner of your
planted.
Blast. Do you check the one right on top of ramp? You sure do. What? Where?
Attackers win.
Did he get a sound cue or something? Just